Welcome to Ask an Editor, the podcast that helps video editors build a long-term career. I'm Jesse Kipke, a documentary and commercial editor for the past 15 years, and today we have a question from Malcom. Malcom asks, what makes you say no to a job? Does your interest in the subject have an influence? Some of you might be thinking, are you crazy? Why would you ever say no to a job? When you're starting out, it is almost imperative to say yes to every job. You need the income and you need the experience. But as your career progresses, and I would even argue when you're starting out, you should be saying more often than you think. Here's 3 reasons why. First, some projects should be the wrong price. With each new project, your experience is growing, so your rate should be growing as well. At some point, there are going to be projects that don't pay enough, that shouldn't pay enough. For example, if you've been editing for 10 years, your time is worth more than if you've only been editing for 1 year. So there should be projects that aren't worth your time. One thing that can help is to decide on a lowest price for your work. Something like, I won't say yes if the project pays less than X. Otherwise, you are losing money by saying yes to that project. Second, some jobs should be the wrong set of skills for you. It's like a role-playing video game. You can't upgrade all the skills all the time. The longer you edit, certain skills are going to rise higher in your experience. You'll also find that you enjoy some skills and dislike others. So you want to say no to the projects that need skills that you find tedious or frustrating. Because why do we do the work if we're just being frustrated all the time? Let's say no to those jobs and say yes to the jobs that fit our skills. Third, some jobs should be the wrong vision. Malcom asked this in his question, does your interest in the subject have an influence? And I think it definitely should. A few years ago, I edited a documentary about a basketball coach. Now, one editor might think, I don't get basketball, I don't care about this, I'm just not passionate about this, and I don't understand what everybody's talking about and why they're all excited. For me, basketball is a sport that I used to play, actually. So, I checked that box. It turned out the coach was also from my hometown, so that's another check. And he coached at the university that I graduated from. So it was a check for all 3. So you better believe that I brought a lot of passion and energy to that project, that even though I would have been passionate and worked hard about others, there's an extra bit of oomph on the project that I really synced up with the vision. So to recap, you should be saying no to projects based on price, based on whether the needed skills are things that you are good at or enjoy, and whether you connect with that subject material or not. But Jesse, you might ask, what if I need the money? We often say yes to projects that aren't a good fit, that don't hit those criteria because of a need for finances and for income. For example, 2 years ago, I was approached about a project. I didn't know the program they wanted to use, but I had enough knowledge to figure it out. So I figured, I can figure it out. I also wasn't passionate about the topic that they were talking about, but I did say yes because at that point, I needed the money. I ended up getting very frustrated with the process, kept finding things in the topic that I disagreed with. And when the project took longer than expected, I actually had to leave and step back from it before it was finished. Not a great thing to do on a project. So the fear of not having enough money will always drive you to say yes, even when you should say no. One way to turn the volume down on that fear is to save an emergency fund of at least 1 month's expenses. This will remove the financial pressure of needing to say yes. Another thing that can help is to also trust that another job will come along. This can be really hard when you're freelancing. It takes a lot of experience to realize, another job always did come along. So this can often be the hardest thing to do, but you do have to believe that more work will come that is a better fit for you. One final point, Malcom also asked, how often do I personally say no to jobs? And honestly, not as often as I should. I said yes to another project in 2022 that I probably shouldn't have. It's an ongoing wrestle, but setting a price floor, knowing the skills you enjoy, and knowing what you're passionate about will help. So thanks for the question, Malcom. If this episode helped you in some way, consider subscribing or leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have a question that needs answering, just visit askaneditorpodcast.com and hopefully we can answer the show. So thanks for listening and keep cutting.